Hey, what is up everyone? It's time for us to finally talk about Shrouded Islands, which is Sea of Thieves' first adventure that they've done. If you don't know already, there's going to be 3 of these each season, and this one is kind of the one that's going to lead into Season 6. So, going into this, I expected it to be kind of like when we had the Hunger Deep campaign before, and we also had Cursed Sails, that was another campaign that we did. I kind of expected it to be somewhat on those lines, but more story driven and not as long. Because those ones were meant to like bring in new content like the Megalodon and the skeleton ships. I didn't expect that. I expected these more to be like very narrative driven and just be like a little adventure, maybe take like an hour. There's some stuff I liked, there's some stuff I didn't like, and we're going to talk about everything in this video. So let's talk about the stuff that I liked first, alright? So I liked all the world changes that have happened with this event. We have Golden Sands completely destroyed, and we have several islands in this gray, greenish shroud. And I think that's really cool. It really makes the world feel different, especially when you go to these locations, because you can't see anything past it. And inside, like all the light looks different on how it hits things, and it just looks really cool. So I'm very happy with how they did everything with that. I also really like how there's voice acting in the game. And you have Lorena, she's talking to you. You have Belle, she's another one talking to you. And even during the fight, there's the different AI that's talking to you. It's kind of hard to tell who's talking to me at certain points, but I figured it was just whoever's leading them, if I'm being honest. All of that stuff is stuff I liked. The other thing I really liked was that we had unique things attached to it. And what I mean by that is like we had the hexing skull, which I thought looked really cool. I hope they bring that back in the future. I think that's a new thing. That might have been something from the past that maybe I missed, but I'm pretty sure that's a new thing. And they also had these rune things that you could find. We haven't found one of those yet. It's kind of like a random drop during the adventure, so if you did it multiple times, you'd have a better chance of getting it. So all that stuff I liked in the adventure, and I thought all that stuff was handled pretty well. Now let's go into the stuff I didn't like. So I mentioned at the start of this video, I thought this adventure would probably take like an hour long. I believe when we had like the Hungry Deep and like Cursed Sails and stuff, I think that took like an hour and a half maybe. Maybe 2 hours, I don't remember because it's been like 5 years. But those took a lot longer. I kind of expected this to be shorter, but I wasn't expecting how short it was going to be. So we finished in, I'd like to say 30 to 45 minutes. But if you take out all the sailing, then it was more like 15 minutes worth of content, which is very short. So when we played, it felt like bulk of what we were doing was just sailing, and I did not like that. I found it like a waste of time, to be honest, because it felt like they didn't have enough content to throw in there, so they just made you sail to faraway places to make it feel like you were spending more time, which you were spending more time, but make it feel like the content was bigger than it actually was. So to start off, we started off at Galleon's Grave Outpost. That doesn't really factor too much into it because I don't include that as part of the adventure time because, you know, it's just random wherever you spawn. But we spawn from that, go to the other side of the map to get to Golden Sands. That's where the adventure starts. You get the compass, you head to Crescent Isle. That's not too far, it's just like one island over, that's fine. You go from Crescent Isle to Shipwreck Bay, which is back to the direction we came from. That's basically on the other side of the map again, so that's a bit of sailing. Then you go from Shipwreck Bay down to Devil's Ridge for no reason. You have to go down there to get the hexing skull, which you could have easily just gone at Shipwreck Bay. I don't know why you have to sail to the bottom of the map to do it, but I think that's really stupid. I think that's where we got frustrated with this adventure, because if we just got the hexing skull from Shipwreck Bay and then went back to Belle, I think we would have enjoyed this adventure a lot more if we didn't feel like there was a pointless sailing that we had to do. Because that's a lot of sailing. You have to go all the way down to the bottom of the map. Then once you're at Devil's Ridge and you get the hexing skull, you have to go all the way up to the top of the map to get to Crescent Isle again, to give it to her. So really, you're just sailing the whole time during this adventure. You're not really doing anything that fun. And then the actual piece of content that you get when you go to Shipwreck Bay is just generic fighting that you'd usually have with the Phantoms. So I was pretty bored with the fight. It was kind of just like, hey, let's get through this and then see what's next. And then what's next is basically nothing. So that was very disappointing. The next thing I didn't like is every time we went to go talk to Belle on Crescent Isle, she would have this like whole cinematic that was all really well done, where she's talking to you about the adventure and the story and all the lore and stuff. But we didn't get to hear any of that because every time we went there, we were getting attacked by different AI. Whether it was ocean crawlers, phantoms, skeletons, didn't matter. All of them were just attacking, some at the same time. And it was very frustrating when we were playing because I couldn't not hear anything. I couldn't even listen to them because we had to just keep attacking the AI. And I was really looking forward to learning more about like the lore and everything. But what I did hear, it didn't sound like we learned anything. It sounded like basically like you gave her the skull and there was just nothing. Now, like I said, we were getting attacked during this, so I might have missed something. But I feel like we just didn't learn anything from this first adventure. And keep in mind, we are not supposed to learn the whole story in just one adventure. It's supposed to like be a continuing story. That's fine. But you should, in any good story, feel like you progressed something when you've spent, say, well, we were in there for like maybe an hour sailing around and doing this whole thing. After an hour, I knew exactly as much as I did before I started as I did now. And that really sucks. Even if they just said like, hey, we suspect that this is the cause of the shroud, but we're going to have to do more investigation or yada, whatever. I would have at least preferred that than just, here, let me take a look at this skull and I'll talk to you later. I mean, that's really boring. There's nothing like exciting about news related to the game to talk about. And it's not like we can speculate about what's coming in Season 6 based off this adventure because we already know everything that's coming. The next thing I didn't like, and it's something that I really hope that they fix in future adventures, is that everyone that's doing the adventure, which is basically everyone, especially on the first day, everyone goes to the exact same islands to do everything. So everyone starts off at the same place, they go to Golden Sands, then Crescent Isle, then Shipwreck Bay, and then Devil's Ridge. The problem with that is it's really easy either for you to get attacked while you're doing the adventure, or if someone's already doing the adventure, you can't do it until they're done or gone, especially at the part where you got Shipwreck Bay. So we had only like a few options that we could do. Most of the time if someone's doing a tall tale or something, which I would say this is kind of similar to a tall tale, we'll leave them alone. But we did this adventure twice. The first time we got to the Shipwreck Bay part and there was someone else there, we decided to just go tuck on them because it was either we try to attack them and sink them or we just tuck on them and see what happens. We decided to go with the tucking option. We thought that would be more fun, but we couldn't really do anything else. It's not like we can just continue our adventure like we were. We had to wait till they were done. The second time we did the adventure, we got to Golden Sands Outpost, and there was another player ship there. And we were just like, okay, we gotta sink them, that way we can get through this adventure, and then by the time that they get back to Golden Sands, we probably will be done with everything else. That was our logic for sinking them, and I still stand by that decision. A lot of people got mad at us in the chat when we were streaming this, saying that we were just being very toxic and terrible. I don't think we were. I mean, I helped the guy out with the adventure a little bit, but we didn't really have another option. If the game sent you to different islands than other players, that would help a lot with this. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for PvP, but if you're trying to do like learn about the lore of the game and you're trying to do this adventure, then why send everyone to the same island? Especially when I don't think you can do an alliance for this. Because one of the things that we learned is that if you take someone else's skull from like another person's adventure and you sell that, it doesn't help you at all. You don't finish the adventure. It will do a deed for it completed, but it won't finish it for you. So you'd basically have to go back and do it again. I'm really hoping that this is just like the first adventure and it's going to get a lot better from here. Just like how we saw like season 1 was like just okay, but then the seasons afterwards got better and better. I'm hoping that's what's going to happen with adventures. I hope that they put more content into this because honestly, if it wasn't time limited and there wasn't a reward attached to it, we probably wouldn't do this. If I'm being honest, like it was pretty boring for us to do. We would have rather have done something else. So that's never a good thing for a content update when you just don't even want to try it because of how boring it was. I will say though, the reward that you do get from this is really cool. It's like this ghost compass, and I'll be honest, it'll probably be my daily driver now for like my compass. I think I'll use that until I get a better one in the future. I think Rare, the best things that they can learn from this is, one, make it so that players go to different islands. I know that you're trying to do like where the world changes and that kind of stuff. That's fine. You could have had that for everyone starts off with Golden Sands and goes to Crescent Isle, but the Shipwreck Bay part, that should have been separate islands that you go to. And I don't think there's any need for you to have gone to Devil's Ridge for the skull. Don't make it so that you just have to randomly sail to places just to add time. Because a lot of us would prefer just to, you know, if it's a 30-minute adventure that they have content for, give us a 30-minute adventure. Don't add an extra 30 minutes of just sailing to places just because you don't have enough content. I think that's a bit lazy, honestly. I truly think that Rare will get this better. I think this is the right approach for events going forward. Like I said before in other videos, I didn't like previous events, and I think this is the right way forward. I'm really interested to see what kind of world changes they do with this in the future, and I'm just very hopeful for the future. I'm not impressed by this one at all. I'll be honest, I'm a bit disappointed from this event. I did not set my expectations super high, I don't think, but my expectations weren't met with this one. But those are my thoughts on this adventure. I'd love to hear what y'all think about this first one that Sea of Thieves has done, and what you hope for the future. Do you agree with my points? Did you have any other problems that you would like to see changed in the future? Let me know everything in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you left a like and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye y'all.